Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism, good Garvey Day, brothers and sisters. This is Dr.Umar Ifatunde, your certified school psychologist, doctor of clinical psychology, minister of education and mental health for the African race. Tonight we are doing a late edition of the Black Parent Teleconference. I repeat, tonight we are doing a late edition of the Black Parent Teleconference. If you are a black parent and you have an issue regarding your child education or mental health, you can text my cell phone number at this time. Please text your name and your city and state, and I will call you. Again, parents, text your first name. You don't have to use your real name if you don't want to. Text me your name, your city, and your state to 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858, and I will call you so that we can discuss your concern with your child. 215-989-9858. Make sure it is your name, your city, and your state, and I will call you so we can discuss the issue with your child. We are not going to talk about Kyle Rittenhouse tonight, although I will be talking about him in a separate live. We will not be talking about the Ahmaud Arbery case, although I will be talking about that in a separate live. We will not be talking about the two brothers, one of which is now an ancestor who was falsely accused and now exonerated from the charges of having played a role in the assassination of the late great revolutionary Pan-Africanist Malcolm X, El-Hajj Malikah Shabazz. We will talk about that, but not tonight. Tonight is dedicated to helping parents save their children. I said tonight is dedicated to helping parents save their children. Tonight is dedicated to helping parents save their children. If you are a parent with an issue with your child, education or mental health, you can call my phone. Text my phone. 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. Text me your name, city, and state. We are saving the children tonight. As you listen to these issues that the parents are bringing forward, I want you to keep in mind that many of you are about to go out and spend millions of dollars on Christmas gifts, but yet we don't have schools for our children. Many of us are about to go out and spend millions on Christmas gifts, but yet we don't have schools for our children. So as you listen to these cases that I help our parents with tonight, be mindful that Black Friday is coming up this week. Be mindful that in 4 days, the largest black shopping spree of the year will take place while our children are being miseducated, special educated, medicated, juvenile adjudicated, psychologically frustrated and exterminated, while we buy millions of dollars in Christmas gifts with almost no schools for our children. Millions of dollars in Christmas gifts and almost no schools for our children. Millions of dollars in Christmas gifts and almost no schools for our children. So let me see if we have a parent to start us off, because tonight is a special end of the school year, the calendar year, pre-fall break edition of the Black Parent Teleconference. Hello.
How you doing?
Peace and love, brother. I need you to... Okay. He was just playing around. Let's see. Peace, Brother Glenn. Dr.Umar, how you doing, my brother?
How you doing, sir?
I'm well.
Good to hear from you.
Likewise, my brother. Likewise. We're live on Facebook and Instagram with the Black Parent Teleconference Special Late Edition. And let me see here. I wanted you to just give me a brief summary, if you could, of your concern there so I can respond to that.
Well, just to speak on what the issue is first. We had an issue in Rutherford County, Tennessee, with a judge named Judge Donna Davenport, and she instituted these laws that were not necessarily laws that were legal in the state of Tennessee that incarcerated children for, it was under the premise of responsibility for not breaking up a fight, or responsibility for not taking over for, it was a 5 and 6 year old kid, and they were fighting, and these children that were 8 and 10 or 11 years old were incarcerated for not breaking up that fight with those children. So, and when it came to that, the children were also in Tennessee. It was a 46% chance in Rutherford County, Tennessee, as opposed to a 5% chance in other parts of Tennessee that kids in that district would be incarcerated.
Okay. Well, I'm having trouble understanding how, first of all, children cannot be compelled to break up a fight on school grounds. In fact, children are actually, in most school districts, not allowed to break up fights in the school. And I can't possibly understand how not breaking up a fight on school grounds could result in you being arrested. That is amazing to me. That totally goes against the impulse and direction of everything I understand about school law, and especially school discipline. Because usually if you try to break up a fight, you could end up getting disciplined yourself. And the fact that they got arrested is absolutely insane. What I might need you to do, my brother, in your leisure, text me some links, if you could. If there's been any news coverage on this story, I would like to look more at it, because on the surface, it sounds absolutely ridiculous and illegal. I don't see how children can be arrested for not breaking up fights. I've never heard of that being a punishment in a code of conduct.
Not only that, but the children. Not only that, but the judge is still serving as a judge in Tennessee, and those same kids would be subject to subjective punishment. So depending on how the judge felt and her constituents, she would give them a certain amount of time that she felt was, or she would stereotype them as far as if they seemed like they were deemed a threat. And the children would be arrested based on those premises. I definitely will send you some links.
Yeah, send me some links on that, my brother.
Because I've written, and I've to the mayor or whatever. I haven't gotten a response yet, but I feel like this is not about my children at all. But I feel that I don't want to wait until it boils down to somebody that's close to me.
That's right.
I want to be able to make a difference.
That's right.
And help some other children that look like me, so they won't have to experience that ever again.
Absolutely, my brother. I commend you for that, and I totally agree with you. Where you based at again, black man?
I'm in Richmond, Virginia. I'm actually a firefighter as well. I'm at work right now.
Okay.
But you know, I'm all about my people first. I love my people. I always wanted to make a difference for my people, and I know that it doesn't start strictly with complaining about the problem. I need to be the person that looks in the mirror as the person that creates the change.
Understood, my brother. Understood. I appreciate you, man. Keep me posted, and I should be coming to Richmond real soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, black man. Peace and Pan-Africanism to you. Again, this is the Black Parent Teleconference Special Late Edition. If you have a question about your child, education, or mental health, you can text 215-989-9858, your name, city, and state, and I will call you. I repeat, text your name, city, and state, and I will call you. This is only for children. No questions, nothing political, nothing FDMG. This is all about children. 215-989-9858.
Hello.
Good evening, Sister Desiree. This is Dr. Umar. How are you, Queen?
Hey, I'm doing fine.
All right.
I'm trying to reach you.
Tell me what's going on.
Well, I don't know if you actually deal with it because I was just listening to you live. So you say you deal mostly with like education and mental health. I guess this question would be considering education. I have some issues with my son. He's 13, will be 14 soon. And basically, I've been looking for like a program to get him into, but where I live, there are no programs as like good mentoring programs. There were a few. I did reach out and was not able to get help. One was the X for Boys, which was located in Albany, Georgia. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. That young man has been doing really great, helping a lot of the boys that were like in fatherless homes. They were like, getting into trouble. So I'm kind of starting to have the same issues with my son. And I'm looking for like a good mentoring program to get him in. He's been getting into trouble at school. He's actually gotten expelled from school recently. So is there anything that you could do to help me or assist me?
What you can do, good sisters, text me tomorrow a reminder that you're looking for a program for your son and his age. And what I will do is I will check around with some of my contacts. You're in Los Angeles, correct?
I am, but I'm gonna be I'm gonna be moving very soon. That's what I was gonna tell you. I'm moving to Florida. I'm trying to actually get him out of the LA area. It's just a lot of bad influence, and like LA is just kind of like a really rough city. So I'm trying to move soon. I probably will be gone within the next few months. I've already started packing. I've had a lot of issues with him with school and just things that are going on. And as like I said, I'm a single mom. He does not have any family, doesn't have a father in his life, and it's very difficult for me, and I really need help. I've been reaching out to a lot of people, and no one has been responding. I've been sending emails, calling, leaving messages, and I have not been able to get any help, and it's very overwhelming on me right now because I'm trying to save him. I don't want him to end up, in trouble or, growing up to become, I gotta watch my words, be like a bad man. So
understood.
I want him to be a productive, man, and so he really has to have that positive influence in his life. Like he needs a strong, positive like mentor. So there were programs that I did try to reach out to people. Nobody ever got back with me.
When you move to Florida, what part of Florida will you be moving to?
I'm gonna be in the Fort Lauderdale area.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to live there before, so I'm just kind of familiar with that area. So I'm gonna move back there because I'm kind of familiar with the Fort Lauderdale area.
When you get there, reach out to me. I know quite a few people there as well, and I'm pretty sure we could find them a program in South Florida between my connections.
Okay, yeah, because I really need to get him out of LA. Just a lot of the stuff with the gangs and everything, and then it's hard for me because I don't have any family. To support me either. So basically, I'm just in this alone. And I've really been just trying to reach out recently. It's hard for me to deal with him now. Boys start growing up, and it's difficult for a woman by herself to kind of deal with it when he's around the wrong influence. So
I got you.
I've really been having a hard time, trying to keep him on track. And it's just getting difficult. He's not listening to me. And it's just getting worse.
No problem. Stay in contact with me. What month you looking at being down there?
I'm I'm gonna try to be there after the first of the year. So hopefully by because my birthday is in February. I want to already be gone and down there before February. So probably I'll say maybe end of January, beginning of February, because I still have to do like my 30-day notice and all that stuff. So I'm still, packing and everything. So I haven't put my notice in, but yeah, I'll definitely be there by February for sure, end of January.
Okay. Well, keep me posted, and we will make it happen.
All right, and don't forget who I am, because I really need help. I've really been reaching out, to a lot of people trying to, get help, and nobody has really been, getting back with me to help me. So I'm trying to save him because I don't want him to go to jail. Like, he almost recently went to jail with the situation that happened at school with him getting into an altercation with another kid.
I got you.
He got expelled from the school, so, like, I'm really, really worried and concerned for my son. I
got you, Queen. We gonna make it happen. I promise. Just make sure you hit me once you get there.
Okay, I definitely will. Do you know any people that are in the LA area now? That
yes. I still want you to send me that text message tomorrow.
Okay, with my name and information and
yes, and just remind me of his age and that you're looking for a program for him. Just give me a quick couple sentences so I can remember, and I'm gonna reach out to some people tomorrow.
Okay, are we private or are we live right now?
We are live, Instagram and Facebook. This is a live teleconference.
Okay, well, I'm not going to say any names. Okay, all right, I got you.
Okay, we'll wrap tomorrow, Queen.
Thank you so much.
All right now, be blessed.
Okay.
All right. You're listening to the Dr.Umar Underground Railroad Black Parent Teleconference, where we hope our children.
3 1 0 8 5 7 0.
Okay. If you have a question, 215-989-9858. Text your name, your city, and your state, and I will call you. All right. Black Parent Teleconference, special pre-Christmas break edition.
Hello?
Peace and love, Sister Maureen. This is Dr. Umar. How are you, Queen?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
All right. And you're in St. Louis, Missouri?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell me what's going on with your son.
Well, I've had him, I guess, in special education for the last year.
For the last year? What grade? What grade is he in now?
So he's still preschool, I want to say, moving on to pre-K.
Okay, so he's been in special ed since what age and for which disability?
No disability. At first, he was in an early childhood program.
Okay.
That they then later transferred him over to the school.
Okay. How old is he now?
He's 4.
Okay, because federal special ed begins at 3. Now, the state of Missouri may have a special ed program for children under 3, but federal special ed begins at 3. But in any event, what is his disability? What is he? He has an IEP right now?
Yes, he has IEP.
For what disability?
I really haven't been able to. I haven't stated a disability, but I haven't really seen the forms where it stated disability in the forms either.
Okay. If he has an IEP, the IEP states a disability, and you need to know what that is, because we don't want a young brother that age in special ed unnecessarily. We need to know why he's there. Is he a speech and language student?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Is he speech and language only? In other words, is his IEP strictly for him to be pulled out by the speech pathologist to receive speech and language services?
Yes. Well, it may be sensory as well. I want to say it's speech. I'm sorry, I really don't have all my info together. Let me try to see if I can find them.
Okay. Yeah, we gotta. It's certain things that black parents have to get better at, and one of them is knowing the disability, knowing how long they've been in special ed, knowing when the next IEP is due. Those are things that we should know.
Okay. So I have his recent IEP report. Let's see here. It says annual goal motor. Caden will increase visual motor skills by demonstrating the following objectives: 75% of opportunities by the end of IEP.
It's normally on the first or second page, the disability.
Okay.
It'll say speech and language impairment, specific learning disability, autism, emotional disturbance, intellectual disability, hearing impairment, multiple disabilities, other health impairment, orthopedic impairment.
Okay, measurable benchmarks, optional, alternate. Let's skim through. Social, emotional, get an increase. It seems like it's for pretty much every. It's just a progress report. It's not. So he has goals for almost, I want to say, every area. It says cognition, adaptive, communication will increase. But I'm not seeing the part where it states the actual disability.
Question, do you have the evaluation that preceded the IEP? So first your son was evaluated, then he received the IEP. Do you have the evaluation?
As of right now, no. Because I did that over a year ago.
Okay.
I know I kept it, but I don't know where.
Okay, I need you to get a copy of his evaluation in case you want me to take a look at it. You need to have it anyway. All you have to do is contact the special ed liaison, director, teacher, coordinator, and tell her you need a copy of his evaluation, his early intervention evaluation that led to the IEP. You could request a complete copy of your son's record, but because he's so young, he may not have much of a record. But if you think there's a lot there and there's more than just the eval you want, you can write a letter to the director of the preschool program he's in and just request a complete copy of his records to include all academic, testing, behavioral, special education classroom, standardized testing data. Ask them when can it be ready and if there's a cost associated with your request. That's actually a federal right that you have under the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974. So you have a right to a complete copy of his record. You just have to put it in writing. And they have 45 days to provide you with it.
Understood.
Okay. But you have my number, so once you get that eval, please get back in touch with me. If he's speech only, he's okay. If he's speech only, he's okay. I just want to make sure he don't have no other disability heading into kindergarten, although it sounds like he's probably a year or two away from kindergarten. But we really don't want him loaded down with disabilities before he shows us what he can do in the regular kindergarten classroom.
Understood. Thank you so much for calling me.
No problem, Queen. Keep me posted. All right now. We have to know the disabilities, family. We have to know the disabilities. Dr. Umar, can we please talk? I am not a groupie. Okay.
Please leave your message for 41.
If you have a question, parents, text your name, city, and state to 215-989-9858.
Hello.
Peace and love. Was it Sister Catherine?
Catherine. How are you?
How are you, Queen? You still there, Sister Catherine?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Please go forward and let me know what's going on.
So the situation is my son...
Turn your phone up, Sister Catherine. You're a little low.
There we go. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. So the situation is, my son is 9, and just recently he started dating a white girl in his class. And
Your son is 9 and he just started dating a white girl.
yes,
Okay, what grade is he in?
4th.
Okay.
And now we've had kind of conversations about it, just kind of asking him, well, what does he find interesting about her? And because the entire thing is, I don't want to mess up this first experience, but I also want him to understand that it's unacceptable. You cannot date a white person for the many reasons I've been teaching him since he was 4. So at this point, I'm not really sure what to do. His father is okay with interracial dating, and I don't even have a support group with other people in my community that also feel the same way as I do, so I don't really have anyone to tap into.
Okay, so he's 9 years old. Is that the 4th grade?
Yes.
He's dating a white girl. Well, one of the issues you have is that the father is not opposed to the Snow Bunny crisis. His father is okay with him dating a white girl, so that's going to be a little bit of an issue because the two of you are not on the same page. Are you and the father still together?
No, we are not, but we are co-parenting.
Understood. So one of the issues you have is he's going to receive 2 different messages. A message from you saying you need to be loyal to black women, and a message to his father basically letting him know that being colorblind in his dating choices is perfectly acceptable. So that's a problem because he's going to get 2 different messages from 2 different parents. For me, I don't think your object is to try to drown out the father's argument, but it is to get your son to understand yours. With that being said, what type of school does he go to? Is this public, private, charter? Are the students mostly white? What do we know about the school?
So the school is a public school, and it is in a district that is majority white. His classroom has majority white people. And then, this is also another conversation we had. I said, well, do you find any of the black girls pretty in your classroom? And he's, said pretty adamantly, no, not really, just her. He's had a white teacher since the 2nd grade. I think he's had one black teacher, 2 black teachers, no male black teachers. But he has been in schools where it's been predominantly white. So I guess what you were kind of suggesting is because it's in his environment, right?
Right. Yeah. It's his environment. Here's a bigger picture. Because he's only 9, for me, because he's not at the age where nature is urging him to reproduce himself. He's still prepubescent. Yeah. I see this more as a playmate than a girlfriend. Although he may call her a girlfriend, we know that those two will not be engaging in the types of activities that they may have engaged in had they been 12 or 13. So I see her more as a playmate than a girlfriend just because he's 9. So for me, I'm not as concerned at this point. I think what you could do, though, is use this relationship that he has with the white girl to try to educate him about the differences in our culture and their culture, as well as to educate him as to why it is more favorable when he gets to that age to start seriously considering women in a relationship, why it's more favorable to choose a woman of his own race. So for me, I wouldn't be opposed to him having a playmate. She's really a playmate because he's 9. There's really no potential for sexual relations of any kind really at this point. So I see it more as a learning opportunity for him and one that you can exploit to help drive home some of the messages you want him to understand about interracial dating.
So what I'm just hearing you say is to help him to relabel the word girlfriend? Or
absolutely. That would definitely be one of those teachable moment. She's not your girlfriend. She's your playmate.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's extremely helpful. Wow.
And I also think it would be a good idea for you to start, and you don't have to beat him over the head with it, but I think it's time for you to start teaching him about his African ancestors, the male and female ancestors. Teach him about the Harriet Tubmans, the Fannie Lou Hamers, the Ida B. Wells. I'm not a fan of people like Condoleezza Rice and Kamala Harris, but at the same time, for the purpose we would be using them for, I wouldn't be opposed to you even teaching him about those types of black women. He needs to increase his appreciation of black women. And again, we're not saying this in the strict sense because he's still a baby. He's only 9, but it's never too early to start teaching our children the importance of loyalty to their race. And it's never too early to teach our boys the importance of loyalty to the black woman.
Yes. I just wanted to say that we've had those conversations as well. We talk about our ancestors all the time, who our family is, where they come from, what country in West Africa, things of that nature. Now, I haven't dived into the atrocities of, the Holocaust that we went through, but I have put a very large amount of priority on, black-minded thoughts. We're doing this because for our race, or we're doing this because for our people. So, just drilling that into him. Okay. Yeah.
And when he turns 11, you can make sure he come on my Black College and Consciousness tour.
That would be amazing. Wow.
Yeah. We're not going to politicize him just yet. The agenda right now is to really show him our greatness so he can develop a greater appreciation of black men and black women and why they need to be together. And you probably also need to show black couples, successful black couples, as well as ordinary in the neighborhood black couples. He needs to see more examples of black love because, as you know, it seems to be illegal to show the black love on television anymore. All the shows and all the commercials are either same-sex or interracial. So you'll need to drive home examples of black love. And if you got to give them the Obamas, you can give them the Obamas too, because we're not doing it for their political behavior. We're doing it for their family behavior.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you talking with me, Dr. Umar. Really, really, truly. It's definitely helped me out. Because,
No problem. Quick question, Queen. The father is black as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was just making sure the father wasn't white because that would further heighten the contradictions between your views and his. So, okay. So, yes. Black mother, black father. Great.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Will do, Queen.
All right. Thank you again, Dr.
No problem, sweetie. Take care. All right. Good evening, Mrs. Jenkins. Dr.Umar, how are you, Queen?
Hi, Dr. Umar. I'm doing very well.
All right. Thank you. And you're also in Los Angeles, California, correct?
Yes, I am, unfortunately.
Okay, so tell me what happened with your daughter.
She got suspended for 5 days because she had a physical altercation with a white girl at school.
Okay, and what was that altercation over?
My daughter told me that her and her friends were receiving texts from, I guess, I guess the white girl is a mutual friend of one of theirs or something, and they all got a group text with a screenshot showing that the white girl said that she doesn't like black people, they should all be lynched. And my daughter is kind of militant like her mother. Mm-hmm. So she went to go and look for the girl specifically to fight her. Mm-hmm. And my daughter also told me that the a white security guard, followed her to the fight to try to stop her, but he couldn't didn't stop her. Who called you a dumb A? The security? Okay, she's just telling me this right now. I'm just like, I'm getting pieces of it as the days go by. But she said that the security guard followed her to the fight. So apparently he knew why she was going to fight the girl. However, when I got the call, I wasn't told what happened. I wasn't told that there was any racial threats involved. I was actually told by my daughter that they told her to just pick her up outside of the school. I didn't need to come in, and the security guard would meet me outside. And I asked him, I said, well, did the other girl get suspended? This is before I knew anything racial happened. And he said, yeah, I think so, and basically brushed me off. So I waited till I got home and asked my daughter, everything that happened. And then that's when I found out that all this was behind it. So my question to you is this something that I should report to the school, even though they already know, or since they already know, should I go over their heads and make a formal complaint to the district? I don't even know how to go about this.
Okay, there's a couple things. First off, this is a public school.
Yes, it is. A public high school.
Okay, it's in what type of community? Predominantly black, Mexican?
No, it's I live in the high desert of California, so there's a lot of white. It's a white school, predominantly
white.
Yes.
And your daughter is in what grade?
She's in the 9th grade. This is her first year there.
First year there, predominantly white school, predominantly white teachers as well, correct?
Yes, as far as I can see, yes.
Okay. Couple things. Number one, you need to get the district code of conduct.
I'm writing that down.
Get the school district code of conduct and find out what specifically it states as a first punishment for fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also want to see what it specifically states as a punishment for making threats.
Okay.
Because if I remember correctly, you said the white girl text. Who did she text? How do we know she texted this?
That's what I was asking my daughter. I was asking my daughter if there's any way you can get in contact with your friend so that I can get the actual screenshot of the text.
Was it sent to someone, do we know?
Yes, it was definitely sent to a few of the young ladies.
Okay, but it wasn't sent to your daughter?
No.
Okay, but your daughter knows the names of those who received it?
Yes, she does.
Okay, so you need the code of conduct, and you need to see what it says for someone making threats as well as racial slurs, because you said she wished that all the black children would be lynched. What did she say?
She said, I don't like black people. And then she said, this is what my daughter told me verbatim, the text, the screenshot said, I don't like black people. You should all be lynched.
I don't like black people. That's the racial slur. You should all be lynched. That's the physical threat, the threat of physical violence.
That's what I thought. Now, could that possibly be the reason why they didn't even deal with me and they tried to kind of like push me on?
Absolutely, because put it this way, if your daughter said something like that about the LGBTQ or about the white students, she would be referred for expulsion. Technically, that white girl should be getting referred for an expulsion. Not only, the racial slur would get her a suspension, but the fact that she said you all need to be lynched, that right there, the wishing of death on an entire race of people, that is zero tolerance, because it is a threat of violence. She could technically be referred for an expulsion by the district. So what you need to do is when did this happen?
This happened week before last.
Week before last. Okay. You need to formulate a letter ASAP, because we're coming up on Thanksgiving break, and then you got Christmas 3 weeks later. You need to handle, they need a letter from you this month, the same month as the incident. Say that again.
I'm taking it. I'm going to type up the letter tonight, and I'm going to take it to them tomorrow.
Okay, here's my question, though. Okay, this is what you need to do. When you type up your letter, you should be able to find the student code of conduct on the district's website. You need to quote from it. In other words, you need to say, according to the district code of conduct, the use of a racial slur, first offense, earns you 5 days of suspension. I want to know if that woman received that, if the other child received that, the child who provoked the incident. Then I would also say, according to the Student Code of Conduct, anyone who threatens physical bodily harm or death, because this wasn't just physical bodily harm. She said lynch. That's death. So anyone who threatens or wishes death upon a child, what is the punishment for that? And it'll probably say something like temporary expulsion or permanent expulsion. And you need to then ask in that letter, was this child exposed? Because according to the Code of Conduct, was this child referred for expulsion? Because according to the Code of Conduct, that's what should have happened. So you want to use the Code of Conduct in your letter to ask, is this what happened to the other child? Because if it didn't, this is an incident of white privilege, where the child is being protected from being punished for what she did because she's white and the victim was black.
Gotcha.
And let me also say to you that depending on how they respond, and you'll be able to keep me posted in this process, but depending on how they respond, you might need to write a your next step, because this is a letter. This right here could go to the principal, but you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking your letter goes to the superintendent. I'm thinking your letter, find out the superintendent, their address, because you can call the office and get the email, but I also recommend that you send a certified signature confirmation letter from the post office, because it's the only way you can prove they actually got it. So I would email one, and I would send a certified one. I would address my letter to the superintendent, and I would carbon copy the principal.
Okay.
And if you wanted to, because this is pretty serious, so if you wanted to, you could also carbon copy the mayor of your city.
Oh,
and even some of your elected officials. And I'm going to tell you why. That girl wished a hate crime upon black people and all of the black students in that school. She wished a hate crime upon your child. And that's why I believe that you should carbon copy the mayor, your state rep, your state senator, your U.S. rep, and your U.S. senator. That text message was a hate crime. And the question is, what do we do in this district when a hate crime, the threat of a hate crime has been made by one student against an entire race of other students? That's the question that needs to be asked in your letter. Your letter needs to be strong, professional, non-emotional, but strong.
Yeah. Okay. One student against. Okay, got it. I'm writing all of this down. Now, do you mind if I email you?
No, you can send it to me. You can send it to me so I can look at it before you send it in. My email address is DrUmarJohnson, DrUmarJohnson @yahoo.com. No period after the doctor, and I'll look at it. But please quote from that student code of conduct. And I think you should carbon copy at least 2 elected representatives. Now, the mayor doesn't have any legal authority over the schools because education is a state right and a local function. So the mayor, the state runs the schools, not the mayor. But the mayor has influence over what they do there. But your state rep and your state senator, they are the most responsible because they actually legislate what happens in the schools. So your state politicians are the ones who actually are in control of education. And then your federal ones, they have your U.S. rep and your U.S. senator, they have an interest in the schools because they have to make sure federal law is upheld in the schools. And in this case, you're looking at whether or not potentially federal hate crimes law could be brought to bear in this case. She made a threat of death. She wished that all black children be lynched. But here's the other thing too, Queen. Here's the other thing too. And this is why you may have to delay your letter by 1 day, possibly. You have to make sure your daughter's story is straight and accurate because she cannot. She cannot have you looking like a fool.
I told her that.
So what I would do is I would make your daughter, unless you want to do it, but make her write out what happened.
Events, okay.
Play by play. Or you can type it out as she tells you. But she got to know her story, because the worst thing that can happen is you send a letter in, carbon copy all these elected officials, and then they say something didn't actually happen, or she didn't actually say that, and your daughter say, well, that's what they told me she said. You got to make sure your daughter is giving you what she knows. For example, did your daughter ever read the text?
Yeah, she said I did ask her that. She said she did see it with her own eyes.
Okay, she saw it. Okay, good. Have her write out step by step what happened, and let her know the importance of being accurate, because I've seen parents move off on what their child said only to find out that the child didn't have the facts right.
No.
We can't afford that. Okay. So yeah, your next step is the letter, and we're going to see how they respond to it. Address it to the superintendent, carbon copy to the principal. Also think you need to carbon copy to elected officials. I would probably do state. You could do all four. You could do state rep, U.S. rep, state senator, and U.S. senator. You might even want to do the mayor as well. That's 5.
Okay.
You could do them all. Something like this, I would. The reason I need you to take this serious, because if the tables were turned, if your daughter wished death on all white people, she would be brought up for expulsion right now. I have no doubt, because we are under zero tolerance in America's public schools. You cannot make threats of violence against other people. That is automatic. You got preschool black kids who were expelled for saying they wanted to hurt somebody. 3 and 4-year-olds. This is a high school child wishing racial violence against an entire group of people. This got to be taken seriously. We're going to give them a chance to act after you do your letter. I'll take a look at it, and then if they don't respond,
Thank you so much.
yes, if they don't respond, then the next letter goes to the United States Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights, demanding an investigation.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Okay,
And one more thing I want you to do is I want you to call the police and ask them, is this incident something that the child can be arrested for, or at least brought up on charges for?
Okay. Just a general question. Okay.
Yes, call them and ask them and see.
Now, I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep you. My last question is, could this potentially make her a target? We live in a small town. We live in, we live in basically a white enclave. There's black people here. There's diversity, but this is really a small town.
Is there a man in the house?
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
No.
Who do you live around? Do you live around other black folks?
Yeah, I do.
I would make them aware of what's going on. Make them aware you're going to need them to be looking out for you, looking out for the house, make everybody in the neighborhood who is of our race family, make them aware of what's going on so they can be on the lookout for you. And if you don't have it already, Queen, go and get you a weapon. You need to have a weapon in the house. You don't need a license to have a weapon in your home. That's a constitutional. Right. Oh, you already have it?
Yes.
Okay, so you're good in that front. Okay. And what I also think you should do, you and your princess, is start going to the range and just practicing a little bit.
Okay. All righty. Thank you so very much for calling me back.
Indeed.
I apologize.
And no problem. And get your license to carry too.
If I can. Okay.
Okay, if you can. I just got mine renewed. Yeah, if you can.
All righty. Thank you so much.
Okay, Queen, no problem.
Good night.
All right now. You be blessed.
All
right, sweetie.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Yes, indeed. We got to intensify the struggle. We got to intensify the struggle.
Hello?
Yes, Brother Johnny. This is Dr. Umar. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, sir.
All right. Tell me what's going on with your child.
Yeah, so I missed you in Capitol Heights. I'm in Maryland.
Yes, sir.
My son is basically
he doesn't have any reading disabilities or anything of that nature, but he didn't tell me, but he told my mother that he has a hard time sitting still. I've gotten a few kind of inquiries from his teacher of him not sitting still, not being able to kind of sit still in class.
What grade is he
But
in?
He's in the second grade.
Second graders don't usually sit still in class, but go ahead.
So that's where I was kind of trying to understand, because my mother's like, he told her basically he just can't sit still, and so I'm on the fence, like, well, it's not, I mean, kids don't sit still, but is there something that, obviously I'm a hard father, only, father in the home, I take care of my children, but I just want to tell him to sit his butt down, right, but it must be something else, and I've gotten him these fidget toys, like a fidget necklace,
Okay.
to just kind of mess with, and little fidget toys, but I'm kind of on the fence.
What kind of teacher he has? Black or white? Who does teacher?
White teacher.
White teacher. The school. Okay, you said he's in the second grade. What is it? Predominantly white school.
It is not. It's probably mixed.
Mixed with what? Black, white, Black, Rican.
Hispanic, black, and white.
Hispanic, black, and white. The students.
Yes.
But the teachers are mostly white.
The teachers are mostly white.
Okay, and his teacher is white.
Yes.
Okay, couple things. Number one, under no circumstances would I, if I were in your position, sir, would I consent to them trying to get me to take my child to a psychologist or psychiatrist for an ADHD evaluation. Now, we do not evaluate for ADHD inside the school. That is evaluated for at the clinic. But once the child is diagnosed with ADHD or conduct disorder or oppositional defiant disorder or any of the disruptive behavior disorders, once you bring that evaluation to the school, they can now use it to special educate your son. So again, they cannot diagnose it, but once you bring the report into the school, they can use it. So I would not consent to an ADHD evaluation, because if you get that label put on your son, they will use Child Protective Services to force you to medicate him. And you don't want him suffering from the side effects of that Ritalin, that Adderall, that Concerta, or that Metadate. That stuff ain't nothing but crack. So do not get him evaluated. That's number one. Number two, you may need to hire a psychologist or behavior specialist in your area to go into your child's classroom and observe the class. Why do you need to do that? Because right now you are totally dependent on the words coming out of the teacher's mouth, and you don't know if they're true or not. You don't know if she got an issue with black kids, black people, black boys. And the only way you're going to find out is to have somebody go in there, independent set of eyes, and observe your son. You would simply write a letter to the principal and say, listen, out of concern for my son, I've retained the services of a psychologist or behavior specialist, and they're going to be coming in to observe him on 3 different days, at 3 different times, during 3 different instructional periods. So ideally, week 1, 8 o'clock reading. Week 2, so week 1, Monday, 8 o'clock reading. Week 2, Tuesday, 12 o'clock math. Week 3, Friday, 2 o'clock art, hypothetically speaking. And the reason you want at least 3 observations, they can all be in the same week if you want, but the reason you want at least 3, if you have somebody observe your son only once, it's very possible that he could have had a very good day that is out of the norm for him. He could have also had a very bad day that is equally out of the norm for him. So what you have to do is see that he's observed a couple of times to reduce the likelihood that the observation was a fluke. You know, you can do 5, you can do 7. 3 is normally good. When I do them, I normally do 3. Okay, but it needs to be somebody that your child don't know. Okay, because if your child know him, so when they walk into class, it's going to change his behavior. It needs to be someone he doesn't know. And I can refer you to someone who can refer you to a psychologist who can make that happen for you. You need another set of eyes in that classroom, my brother. You cannot assume the teacher is telling the truth. You might find out that there's other kids more off task than your son. But because they're white, the teacher isn't complaining about what they do at all. Remember, the criminalization of black boys begins in preschool. The criminalization of black boys begins in preschool. And what they are objecting to is not him not being able to sit still. Because I can assure you, he's not the only kid who can't sit still. But he's one of the only black kids who can't sit still. So you're looking at how they are weaponizing race against your son towards the criminalization of every black boy in that school. That's why you got to get an observation. And then from there, the question becomes, where is the behavior plan? What does the teacher do in that class when your son is doing what he's supposed to do? And what does she do when he's not doing what he's supposed to do? In other words, what are the rewards and what are the consequences? And I'm willing to bet you that there's probably no rewards. I'm willing to bet you when your son does what he's supposed to do, she don't give him a pat on the back, some verbal praise, a sticker, or nothing. But the minute he messes up, she's probably all over his back. That's why you need an independent observer. You need a psychologist to go into that school. Now, with that being said, let me say this to you as well. We are almost to fall break. Do they get out in May or do they get out in June for the end of the year?
June.
So we have January, February, March, April, May, June. Okay. January, February, March, April, May, June is really like, I don't even count that. So you got 5 months. That can be a little bit of a ways. If we were having this conversation in February or March, my message to you would be, just get him to the finish line. And what I mean by that is the school year is almost over. Get him to the finish line. That means meet with them, stall them, slow down the process. You don't let them know that. But once you're like in February or March, the goal is to just get the kid to the end of the year so he can have his summer vacation without any labels, diagnoses, or further trouble. But because we have 5 more months coming after Christmas break, you know, you can still pace yourself, though. You could say, you know what? I think I can stretch this out till Christmas break and then come back in January with the observation. Because to be honest with you, having somebody observe your son now while we're in the holiday period, you could and still have the person come back later. But to be honest with you, and you remember this when you was in school, once Thanksgiving came, you know, the instruction ain't the same no more. The teachers back off. They get a little lazy with it. The kids, they are a little bit more active. You know what I mean? So you're really not getting a true read. It's like observing a kid before a class trip. You're not getting no true read. He about to go on a class trip. Of course he's a little hype. You know what I mean? So I don't know if getting the observation during this season, the holiday season, is ideal. I think you wait until January. But I would still inquire as to what is being done in that class. Because if he's in 2nd grade, there should be a chart. He should have a behavior chart at his desk that the teacher writes on or puts stars on or puts stickers on to let him know how well he's doing. Because a 2nd grader cannot self-monitor, right? A 5th grader can self-monitor, meaning a 5th grader knew if they did good before lunch, good after lunch. They can remember if they had a good Monday, a good Tuesday, or a good Wednesday. 2nd grader can't do that. So the reason we use charts with young children, primary grades, is to help them monitor their behavior. So, you know, you need to write a letter requesting a meeting, and you need to ask at that meeting, or you might want to ask at the meeting, not put it in your letter because she could fabricate something. At the meeting, you could ask, can you please show me your discipline program for your classroom? Because children respond to positive reinforcement more than punishment. So how are you positively reinforcing my son when he does what he's supposed to do? That would be a question. Another question I would have is he the only 2nd grader in your class who has trouble sitting still? And I'm sure he's not. And have you contacted the other parents as well? And exactly how many other students are there who can't sit still? And the reason why that is important, as well as having somebody observe the class, is it may very well be that the teacher has poor classroom management skills and she's trying to make your son the scapegoat for her own shortcomings.
Yeah. Management skills. Now, I didn't say this at the beginning, but now I got him before he started school. I thought he had like issues with hearing and things of that nature, so I did take him through a before school kind of evaluation, if you will. But needless to say, that was closed out before he started school, if that makes sense.
Okay, and that was a speech and language evaluation?
It was a speech and language evaluation.
And he no longer needs it?
Through like Child Find or something when I enrolled him. But they said they didn't close it out, so I had to go back up there and basically write a statement to close it out. And I don't
close it out.
The teacher knows about it.
Did he ever get the eval?
No.
Okay, why? You chose not to do it?
No. So he did. No, he did. He went. Yeah, he did. But he did actually.
The reason I'm saying that
evaluation before he started school.
Okay, the reason I'm saying that is the only time you have to write a letter to withdraw the eval is if they never did it or you no longer want it. If he was evaluated, then there should be an evaluation report that says he does not need the service. So do you have an evaluation report that says he does not need the service?
Yeah, I basically stated that he no longer needed the services.
Right, but was the eval done though? Is there a report?
There was a report that he could qualify for services in speech and language, but after he went to the daycare or the learning center, if you will.
Okay.
Then he basically didn't need the services anymore. So I closed that. I had to actually go in and close that file out, if you will, before he started school. He's not IEP, he doesn't need it, and he hasn't been on that since he's been in school. But again, I'm trying to make sure that doesn't come up, and then he's saying he can't sit still. I just don't want him to.
Well, we don't want special ed. We're not looking at that this young. Right. So we're going to stick with the behavior. Right. Okay, and it sounds like you're also telling me that you don't feel he needs the speech anymore, correct?
I don't think he can read. He can pretty much write for the most part.
Okay, does he have any articulation problems? Does he have any speech articulation problems, any stuttering, anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's just him fidgeting. He picks up little things and wants to grab these little pieces of paper, and so I got these little necklaces for him, thinking that would help, but it just seemed like he still needs something to touch with his fingers, So, yeah, that's my dilemma right now. I thought natural things, and I talked to somebody, CMOS or whatever.
Well, that is an avenue. I mean, there's a lot of herbal supplements out there that you can take to calm down the central nervous system of an overactive child. There's a product called Kava Kava. There's a product, Kava Kava is an herb. There's a product called Melissa Supreme. There's another product called Calm Child. If you go to any Whole Foods, they're going to have a whole entree of ADHD herbal formulas that you can just drop under your son's tongue. The difference between the herbal formulas and Ritalin or Adderall is like Ritalin and Adderall, that's drugs, that's crack. But with the herbs, it's natural. So it takes longer for you to notice an effect on your son. Okay, so it take a while. He may have to take those drops for 2 months before you start noticing an effect. But here's my thing. Before you even do that, we need to make sure the information you're getting from the classroom is accurate, and that's why you need the observation. The other question I want to know is how often is he and the other classmates given a chance to exercise? Is there a gym class? Do they have recess? Are there class trips? I mean, he's in the second grade, so he's young, he's hyper, he's active like any other boy. What are they doing in the school to program for the energy level of those boys? Because it's not a disorder to be a boy and to be energetic. So what are they doing about that? You know, where's the gym? Where's the recess? And then on your end as well, you might need to get him enrolled in some sort of extracurricular program that allows for that, whether it's martial arts.
He's in martial arts now.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good.
So I think that's helping.
Yeah, but find out what the school is doing and not doing.
Okay, so I haven't been plugged into that, and partly my shit from COVID to just get back in, but I need to get a little more involved and know what's going on, because I don't really know what's going on in his class. So
got you. No problem, my brother. Keep me posted on that.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Peace and Black Power. Breaking news, brothers and sisters. Breaking news. I am sorry to hear this. 57 years after the death of Malcolm X, 2-3 days after it was announced that the two men falsely accused of Brother Malcolm will be exonerated of the charges. Of course, one of the men is already an ancestor. Breaking news. Malikah Shabazz, daughter of Malcolm X, was found dead in her Brooklyn, New York home today. Shabazz, 56 years old, was found by her daughter just before 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The death does not appear suspicious. The news comes as two men found guilty in Malcolm X's assassination are expected to have their convictions thrown out. Minister and human rights activist Malcolm X was killed 57 years ago in New York City neighborhood of Washington Heights. Shabazz was one of Malcolm's 6 sisters. Rest in peace to our beloved sister Malikah Shabazz, daughter of the great Malcolm X. Our condolences, heartfelt support go out to her family, her sisters, her children, her nieces, her nephews, if she still has any aunts and uncles with us in the flesh. We know that Malcolm's family has been through so much. We know that Malcolm's family has probably been through more than almost any black leader's family has been through on American soil. The only family I can think of that's been through more, probably Nat Turner's family, because most of them was murdered. Frederick Douglass's family went through a lot, but not to that extent. Malcolm's father was murdered, being the leader in the Garvey movement. Malcolm was murdered, about to return to the work of Garvey. His grandson was murdered. Now his daughter's deceased. His wife, Queen Mother Betty Shabazz, we could also say was murdered, dying as a result of the burns that were inflicted upon her after a suspicious fire took place in her residence. So we definitely want to send up love and blessings, condolences and support to the Shabazz family. And if there's anything that I can do, anything that we can do, if there's a GoFundMe to help pay for expenses, if somebody could get that to me so I can share that around the African family and, of course, the Pan-African family, because Malcolm was a Pan-Africanist. If there's anything we can do, please, somebody let the family know. Let Ilyasa and the others know that Dr. Umar is here to offer whatever type of support or service that I possibly can to the Shabazz family. May Sister Malikah rest in paradise. Getting back to the Black Parent Teleconference. Peace and love, Sister Moasia. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, Queen. Tell me about what's going on.
Okay, first I had a question about what do you think about behavioral meds? I know a little about how you think because I follow you. But instead of behavioral meds, what do you recommend besides therapy?
Okay. If we're talking about a purely behavioral problem that does not have a mental component, such as ADHD or conduct disorder or ODD, and what I mean when I say does not have a mental component, I'm saying that children do not refer themselves for medication. They do not have a problem with their hyperactivity. They do not have a problem with their inattention. They do not have a problem with their anger. It's the adults in the child's life who selfishly decide that this child needs to be medicated, not for their own good, but for the adult's own good. In other words, when the teacher says your son needs Ritalin, Adderall, Concerta, or Metadate, she's not saying that to help your son. She's saying that to help herself. He's too hyper for her. He's not too hyper for him. There's no black boy on stimulant medication who ever went to the parent or the teacher or the principal and said, I need some medication to help me sit still. No child has ever done that. It's always the adults. So, with that being said, and I don't know if you heard me speak to the father earlier. Did you hear the last case that we discussed?
I actually didn't.
Okay, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'll give it to you as I gave it to him because the cases were very similar. What grade is your son in?
My son is in the 11th grade, but I'm actually talking about a young man that I tutor, and I'm going to give you the backstory on him because you're absolutely right. His mom, I tutor him. He's in a 3rd grade, mind you, 3rd grade. And when he's with me, I don't have a problem. Now, I'm not with me 8 hours a day, but when he's with me, I don't have a problem with him because it's one-on-one care, so that could be a difference. But I told her she wanted to put him on a medication that the school suggested. But like I told her through my experience, when it was offered to my child in the 3rd grade as well, I turned it down because I researched the long-term effects that this medication may have on my child versus the short-term effects that they want to fix right then and there because, like you said, the teacher didn't want to be put up with my child. So my plan was I took 2 months off, and I actually went and sat in the school with my child. Not specifically in the classroom, but I kind of monitored behavior to see what I can do at home to maybe fix what's going on with him. But I suggested that she actually see maybe they could get like a behavior plan with a therapist in the school instead of putting him on medication. And this is another thing that she mentioned, and I'm not trying to stereotype all black people, but she was not that.
Wait, say that again. She was what? She was what? You cut off for a minute there.
She was joking. I don't know if it was a joke or not, but she was saying how she can actually get help from the state as well as far as like a monetary allotment if they are put on this. I see a lot of that in school.
Okay. Couple things. It's true. She could get the money. SSI, disability income. She could get it if he is in fact diagnosed and put on meds. Now, does he have any diagnosis right now?
He don't have a diagnosis right now. They just suggested this last week.
And I don't think he should get a diagnosis, and I don't think he should get an evaluation. He's in the 3rd grade, too young for any of that nonsense. What needs to happen, number one, is y'all need to get a psychologist or behavior specialist to go into the classroom and observe his behavior. And whoever observes his behavior is someone he does not know. He cannot know the person. So that's number one. Get a second set of eyes in the class who can observe and determine if what the teacher is saying is in fact truthful and valid. That's number one. Because right now, y'all totally dependent on what the teacher is saying. Totally dependent. Teachers exaggerate, teachers lie. I know because I work with them. They're human beings like everybody else. So first we got to find, we got to make sure what we're being told is the truth. How do you know there's not other kids in the class who are worse than him? And they might be, and they could be his trigger. How do you know the teacher isn't just a poor classroom manager of behavior? There's a lot of factors that go into this. We cannot assume she's telling the truth. We need to get an observation by an independent specialist, psychologist or behavior specialist. Okay. Also, in addition to that, what is the existing behavior plan in the classroom? That's the other question. What does the teacher do when he does well? What does she do when he doesn't do well? What are the punishment and the rewards? Where is his behavior chart? If he's in the 3rd grade, he needs a behavior chart because young children cannot self-monitor. They need help monitoring their progress. That's why we use charts with young children. You don't need a chart with a high schooler because high schoolers can remember how they did last week. They can remember how they did Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. A 3rd grader cannot. I want to know what positive behavioral strategies is she using? Because children only get better when we pay attention to the good, not the bad. So you have to punish the misbehavior, but you got to reward the positive. And there's a big chance that he's not being rewarded when he tries to do well. If you do not reward his attempts to improve, he will never improve. Is this a black teacher or a white teacher?
She's actually an African-American teacher.
Okay.
And I definitely agree with you on that because 3 days out of the week, it's just me and him one-on-one. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have 4 kids in his area. They're like 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And like I said, I don't have a problem with him for those. It's like 2.5, 3 hours that I tutor them, like after school chair. I don't have a problem with him that she puts on the behavior sheets for, when you come home and the parents sign, because I check all of them. Mm-hmm. He don't have a behavioral plan at school. And I told her also too, like he may be reacting to the other kids in his class because when he's here, he's sitting with one student that's younger than him, but he's also sitting with the 4th and the 5th grader that's older than him. I don't see what she puts on the end of the day chart. Mm-hmm. Like I told her also, he could probably benefit from one-on-one learning. Not trying to say I'm all that, but coming out from a virtual learning to, kids seeing other kids, mm-hmm. They're excited. Of course, they're excited. We just came out of a quarantine. They were doing virtual learning. Some parents wasn't very good with the virtual learning.
You still there? Yeah. You still there, Queen? Queen. Your phone is losing reception just a little. Are you? Can you hear me? We lost the good sister. Feel free to ring back. Text me back.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 6.
Hello.
Peace and love. Sister Camille, Dr.Umar, how are you?
I'm well, Dr. Umar. How are you?
All is well. You're in Texas.
Yes, I'm in Texas. I'm in a suburb of Dallas, in Raleigh, Texas.
I got a question for you. How far are you from, is it DeSoto or DeSota, Texas?
DeSoto. I'm about 25 minutes.
Okay, I may be speaking there for Kwanzaa.
Oh, yes.
I'm waiting for a call back now. I received an invitation, so I may be speaking in DeSoto, Texas. Is that DeSoto, DeSoto?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we say DeSoto.
I got you. I got you. Anyhow, go ahead and tell me what's going on with your child.
Okay, so I have he just turned 6 years old, and he's in kindergarten right now. But we started having problems with him when he was around 2.5 years old. We're from Texas, but we have been in Minnesota for the past 3 years, and it was predominantly white. And his daycares, he was like, the only little black boy there, and just having some behavioral issues with him. And he was dismissed from 2 daycares there in Minnesota. And so I took him to a couple mental health places where he was evaluated. His first evaluation was ADHD. I don't know if you're familiar with the Fraser Center there in Minnesota, but and so the
So he was diagnosed with ADHD at what age?
He was 3.
That was too young for that evaluation, Queen.
And I do agree. Okay. He went through a behavior therapy program with them, and he was in a class of about 7 kids, and so they were working on coping skills and and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And they graduated him from that program, and so we put him back in daycare because it was an all-day program, all day long. And so he graduated from that program. We put him back in daycare, the same behavior, and he was dismissed again from daycare. And so I found another mental health place. I think it was St. Joseph's, same thing, but they diagnosed him, and I'm sorry, don't get mad. I cannot remember the diagnosis, but it was one kind of like ODD, but one where they label the younger ones with another one. I can't remember the name of it, but I have the paperwork. And he graduated from there. And still the same issues. So now we're in kindergarten. And so now he has an IEP. Mm-hmm. Because I couldn't work.
Okay, he's in kindergarten with an IEP. He's in kindergarten now with an IEP for what? What is the disability?
So now Texas, I brought the evaluations to Texas. And so now they reevaluated him. So Texas is labeling him as EBD, emotional behavioral disturbed, EBD, emotionally disturbed.
Okay.
So he's in a behavior unit now.
When you say he's in a behavioral unit, what do you mean by that? He's in an emotional support class in a public school setting? What do you mean behavioral unit?
Yes, he's in a special ed setting. He's in a special ed setting with other kids. It's called an ABC classroom. I think it's the applied behavior class.
Yeah.
So he's in there with other children. Some are highly functioning children that are on the spectrum, and some are just
okay. On what spectrum? On what spectrum?
Autism.
Okay, time out.
Mm-hmm.
A child classified with an emotional disturbance, mm-hmm. receiving emotional support, mm-hmm. that is not the same as a child classified with autism receiving autistic support. Now,
they got them all in the same class.
Okay, here's the question. It's not automatically illegal, but it is definitely highly questionable. The question that got to be asked, how is his needs being met in a class that serves autistic children? They are there for communications problems. Your son is there for emotional issues. Autism and emotional disturbance are totally different. Although they both have a behavioral component, and I'm assuming they're trying to justify the placement that way. And your mom, correct? You're the mother of the boy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
but the question is, do you feel that classroom is meeting your child's needs? Because he has a federal right to a free and appropriate public education. On the surface, it sounds like your son is misplaced. On the surface, it sounds like he's misplaced.
and I agree, and this is something that I went back and forth with the diagnostician. I don't believe this is the right LRE for him. He tested, he took his district math, his reading and math test, and he scored the highest, one of the highest scores out of all the kindergartens in the school.
And I'm going to tell you this. If your son had one of the highest scores in the entire school for reading and math, and he's what grade again?
He's kindergarten.
He's kindergarten. He has no, even if he didn't have the highest reading and math score, he has no business being in an emotional support class at 6, is he?
He just turned 6.
He just turned 6, and he's already in an emotional support class. I can guarantee you his needs are not being met, because how can a kid that intelligent be in an autistic support class and get his needs met? That's impossible. So you're telling me he doesn't have academic problems because he's academic elite. So if he's hear me out, if he's academically elite and all he has is emotional problems, then he should be getting pulled out maybe a period a day for emotional support. That's it. That's it. He should be in a regular classroom getting pulled out for emotional support. He has no business being in special ed all day, and he has no business being in an autistic support class. This is off the hook. Totally off the hook.
He goes into the general ed setting for an hour.
No. Listen. Every special ed child in the United States of America and territories has a right to two things: a free and appropriate public education. Appropriate. Your son's IEP is not appropriate. His placement is not appropriate. And the second thing they have a right to is to learn in the least restrictive environment.
Right.
Least restrictive. That means your son only spends the amount of time necessary in special ed, away from the regular kids, that is absolutely necessary in order for him to learn. That's it. There's no way a child that bright is in a full-time class. There's no way you can justify a child that bright being in a full-time class. The only time you could justify that is if he is such a danger to himself and other students. Now, if he is such a danger to himself and other students, I'm talking about violence, weapons, running away, running out the school, throwing death.
He has, Dr. Umar, he has ran out of school. He has.
Okay, so if he's ran out the school then, okay, and you want to make sure you don't make the argument for them now, okay, be careful. But if he has ran out the school, then your son needs a one-to-one aid. He has an IEP, so they get extra money for him.
That's what I was asking for. I was asking for that.
Okay, so if you want to ask for that, you call an IEP meeting and you ask for that. And if they refuse, hear me out, if they refuse, you then write a letter to the principal stating that I requested a one-on-one aid for my son as a related service on the IEP. One-to-one aid for my son as a related service on the IEP. And you denied me. My son's need for a one-on-one is absolutely necessary in order for him to receive FAPE, his free and appropriate public education. Your argument as parent is the one-to-one aid is critically necessary in order for him to receive FAPE. Just because he ran out the class, ran out the school, doesn't mean he goes to a full-time class. That's not even an emotional support class. Why is an emotionally support kid in an autistic support class? Hell no.
Yeah.
And with his grades, listen to me. The law says the only way you can qualify for special ed service, The only way you can qualify for special ed. I don't care if you speech and language, emotional disturb, intellectual disability, learning disability, hearing impairment, other health impairment, traumatic brain injury, orthopedic impairment, deafness, blindness, deaf and blind. The only way you can qualify for special ed with any of those disabilities, Queen, the disability must affect your ability to learn. Your son, you just said he scored at the top. So his disability is not affecting his ability to learn in the school. So I would make the argument that if you want to keep him in special ed so he doesn't get in trouble so much, because special ed kids can only be suspended for 10 days out the school year before the IEP team has to approve. So you say, okay, Dr. Umar, my son gets into a lot of trouble. He will be more protected with an IEP than a 504 plan. Because to be honest with you, he's really a 504 plan kid. He don't need special ed, but he does need accommodations. But if he doesn't have any previously existing condition, then maybe he don't get the 504. However, he has the IEP. And if you say as mom he needs the one-to-one aid in order to receive his education, they have to give it to him. They have to give it to him. So it's time for you to either call another meeting or write a letter to the principal challenging the IEP team's decision. And if the principal does not reverse it, you can then write, I would do the next letter to the director of special ed for my district. That would be my second letter. And if the director of special ed for the district doesn't give my son a one-to-one aid, I'm then going to file for due process with the state of Texas and tell them that my son absolutely needs this service. The district isn't trying to give it to him. They will then assign a hearing officer who will come to the school and hear your argument, hear the school's argument, and decide whether your son should get that aid or not. I believe he's going to get it because he's too smart to be in a special ed class. He's too smart. There's no way you can justify that young man with them scores being in a full-time class. There's no way you can justify that. Okay, so
everyone was blown away in the IEP meeting when it came to the testing part of it. The principal was like, "What are his scores again?" And it was like 98 percentile, and they were like, "Wow!" And they sent a letter. Yeah, they sent a letter last week to invite him to apply for a magnet school for next year. But I need to make sure he's going to have the right services. He's going to be able to be.
No. You applied to the magnet school, Queen. You don't deny him that. He needs the magnet school. The services that he needs must be provided for him at the magnet school. You don't say he don't go to the magnet school because I want to make sure he don't get the services. It don't work that way. Wherever he goes, he has an IEP. He will get the services. You understand? They're required to give him the services.
Because he couldn't go to his home school. He couldn't go to his home school because they didn't have a unit for him, and so they bused him.
A unit? No, so special ed ain't about units. It's about the instructional service and the related services that the child needs. I'm going to be honest with you. I call into question the emotional disturbance classification that you gave your son. I call that into question. I call it into question. I don't believe he qualified for that. I believe they only labeled him with that. Okay. I believe they only labeled him with that to get him out the class. Tell me about this school. Is this predominantly black students, white students, Latino? What's the student population and what is the teaching population?
Well, it's predominantly white, but I say about 60% white, and then the rest is African American Hispanics.
And what about the teachers? What about the teachers?
Mainly white, but he has 2 male teachers.
This is racism. Your son should have never been evaluated. And you didn't know, so I'm not faulting you. But he entered the special ed process too early. Too early.
But I needed something. I needed help. I couldn't work.
I understand, but
I needed,
but you could have got that though. But you just didn't know. I'm assuming you didn't know I existed at that time.
Oh, I've been following you for a long time. Yes, sir.
So if you've been following me for a long time, why you didn't reach out to me back then so we could have prevented all of this?
I just thought I was doing the right right thing, and the reason why he tested so high is because I teach him. Because I feel like he's not getting, educated because of his behavior. I do feel like there's something wrong because he has a hard time, calming himself, and he's so impulsive. But I'm working with him.
He's impulsive because he's too smart for the level of instruction that he's getting in the school. Any child who finds the work too easy is going to be a behavioral distraction because they're wasting their time.
Yeah.
Your son might even need gifted instruction, but he definitely needs the magnet school. You might want to have him tested for gifted. I don't know if Texas still has a mentally gifted code or not. You need to look into that.
Yeah, they said that they'll do that next year. They do that.
What do you mean do it next year? Do it next school year or next year as in January?
Next school year.
For what? For what? Why is it waiting? Wait, what is it?
They do the GT testing in first grade. They don't do kindergartners. They don't test kindergartners. That's what they told me.
How do we know that? Is that a school district policy?
That's what they told me.
No. I don't care what they told you. Call downtown to the main office and find out what is the school district policy on gifted ed. Do not tell them your name. Do not tell them your son's name. You want to know what is the school district policy on mental gifted testing.
Okay.
And then you also want to go to the State Department of Texas website and look up mental giftedness because the state law will say exactly when the child can be tested. The school district cannot circumvent state law. If the state law says the child can be tested in the kindergarten, then your son can be tested in the kindergarten, regardless of what the school policy is not supposed to contradict state law. It does because they know black parents ain't going to check and ain't going to fight. You see, so find out what the state says about giftedness. In fact, I will find out what the state says first because the state has seniority over the district.
Okay. And I want to get him that. I have an 18-year-old daughter as well. And I told them this. I told them last year when he was in preschool. I got, through the state, my 18-year-old daughter was his PCA. So I paid for him to go to preschool at like one of those academies. So I paid for him to go to preschool. And my daughter was there with him all day at preschool. And she was set in a corner only for behavior redirection. So he could sit there and learn with the other kids, and he did just fine. And I expressed this in this IEP meeting, and they were just saying, well, we can't do that. We don't have the resources. We don't have the people.
Okay, listen. What they don't have is not your problem.
Okay.
If your child needs it in order to learn, to make progress, that's what FAPE is all about. FAPE. That is a federal acronym. Free and appropriate. Whatever your son needs to receive an appropriate education, they have to provide it. They cannot give you excuses. And what you can do the next time they tell you they can't, ask them to write that down on paper, sign it, and give it to you. Can you please write down on paper that you can't give my son a 101 aid? You can't give him this. You can't give him that. Put that on paper and sign it so I can have that for my records, please. That's all you do. Make them put it on paper.
Okay. I'm going to follow up.
Because they're getting over on you. Remember now, they get extra money to give you son what he needs. I don't agree with that ED label. I really don't. If I'm in your shoes, I think, first of all, is there a better school in the district you would rather have him at? You could argue for that. You could also argue that he goes to a private school. But to be honest, I don't want him in a special ed private school because he's too smart. He needs to be in a regular school, in a regular class with a 1-to-1 aid. That's where you start. You get him, your number one job, change in placement. Remember, the IEP team got 3 responsibilities. Program, progress, and placement. Program. What is he going to learn while he's in special ed? Placement. Where is he going to receive his special ed? Progress. Making sure the special ed benefits your child. You have an issue with program because he's not being challenged. You have an issue with placement. He's in a full-time autistic class. And you have an issue with progress. How the hell is my son going to learn, as smart as he is, sitting in a damn autistic class all day?
And that was, and that, I mean, this IEP meeting was 2 hours long. I'm telling you, I fought hard for my son.
You was in there by yourself?
No, my husband was there.
Your husband was there.
Daddy. He has a daddy. Yep.
Gotcha. You got a daddy. Okay, well, we need daddy to, we need daddy to step on the gas with the IEP team. Because I ain't liking none of this. I mean, now y'all know what they should and shouldn't be doing. It's time for y'all to go to war. It's time for another IEP meeting. Listen, we want him out that class. He does not belong in there. I'm telling you right now, if you go to due process with the state against that district and you put all that in your complaint, a kid with them test scores, emotional support, but he's in a full-time autistic class, I don't see how any hearing officer is going to side with the district. That right there is a big red flag. So it's time for an IEP meeting. It's time to get him out that class, and he should just be pulled out for the emotional support that he needs.
Right. Well, thank you for taking my call, and I'm going to get on that.
Will do.
At Thanksgiving break.
Will do, Queen. Keep me posted.
All right, thank you.
All right now. God bless. I need some help. I sent you a Cash App. Are you looking for a private consult, or are you trying to call? Because I don't see a name or a city. You got to follow rules. Huggadad.com.
Hello.
Sister Lena, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well. How's Charlotte, North Carolina treating you?
It's doing okay.
Okay, tell me what's going on with your child.
So I have a 7-year-old.
Boy or girl?
Is a boy.
Grade?
He's second.
Regular ed or special?
Regular, but he has a 504.
He got a 504, and what is the disabling condition for which he has the 504?
It was behavior. His behavior.
Okay, but what's the disabling condition though? So it's not just behavior. Does he have a diagnosis of some sort?
No, he wasn't diagnosed.
Okay. So they gave him a 504 without a specific disabling condition. They just said behavior problems.
Yes. Well, he had the 504 in kindergarten. That's how it started. And he was in a classroom. It was a public school with about 20 kids.
Okay.
And he had a white teacher.
Wait a minute. He was in a public school with 20 kids.
With about 20 students in the classroom.
Okay, 20 students in the classroom. What grade is he in again?
Mm-hmm. He's in the second right now.
Okay, he's in the second grade. He has a 504 right now. Right?
Well, he had a 504 in kindergarten. I don't know how that works.
What do you got now?
He doesn't have it now because he's doing virtual. He's learning online.
He's learning online, and he had a 504 in kindergarten, and he's now in second?
Correct.
Okay, what's your concern?
My concern is trying to place him in an environment that he is able to learn, because he is very active. Sometimes it's hard for him to focus, and I don't want to place him somewhere, because right now I'm trying to get him in a private school. It's a Christian private school with 7 students in a classroom. It's African American. It's all black teachers, all black students. But I'm afraid of placing him in the classroom, going back in person, because I feel like he is going to be too impulsive, too active, and he's not going to be able to focus. And I don't want him to be labeled, because when he was in kindergarten, the teacher tried to label him as impulsive. He needs to be tested for ADHD and have all these doctors come in and figure out what's going on with him. Because they took him out the classroom, and then he he had a black teacher, and she didn't have any problems with him. And the 504 continued in kindergarten. So, and then the pandemic hit, so he hasn't been in the classroom since.
Okay. And you're in what state again, Queen? Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It is your choice to have him on virtual. Aren't the children in Charlotte back in the school?
Yeah, I'm not. It's my choice. I don't.
It's your choice. So he hasn't been back to school physically since the COVID quarantine in 2020.
Right. Correct.
You kept him out. Do you think that was a good idea? The reason I'm saying that, because if you're telling me that his behavior is an issue, the only way he's going to learn to control it is in school, where he will ultimately have to return. Like,
right.
You know, like his behavior, he could be worse because he's not getting the repetition and the experience he need to control his behavior. He's in second grade. I mean, I believe he should be in school with his 504 in place, with a behavior plan, possibly with a one-to-one aid, you see. And then the other thing I got to say this to my beautiful black mothers is y'all have to make sure y'all not spoiling these little boys so much that they go to school and they think they can do what they want. Not saying that's what your son does, but being someone who works in the schools, I see it a lot where the mothers spoil their sons and then they get into the school and think they're going to do whatever they want because they get to do whatever they want at home. Schools are ran by white racist folk. They can't do that. So we have to make sure this isn't a spoilage issue as well. But I don't know if he's being served at home. If he had a 504 before, the 504 doesn't stop until you decide you want to discontinue it. You understand? So it may be time to call a 504 meeting and get him ready to go back to school in January. I don't know if he's served at home. He's too young. Now, if he was older, different story. But at home, that age, and he already had behavior problems, and he's not getting experience controlling those behaviors. I don't know about that. And you say you want to put him in a private school, which is okay, but their expectations for his behavior are going to be even greater than the public school's expectations for his behavior. And I'm thinking it's time for him to go to school.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm putting him back in person January. Right now he's doing virtual public, and I'm putting him in that private school. And I had a meeting with the principal at the private school, and I didn't discuss the 504 because I didn't want it to mess up his opportunity with getting in that school. So I don't know if that's a wise choice for me to mention that, or what that's going to look like for him and what he needs.
Okay, say that again. You said you don't know if it's a wise choice to mention what?
The 504 that he had.
But he don't have no diagnosis, right?
No, he doesn't have.
Okay, why would it be a problem to mention a 504? 504 is not special ed, so why do you think it'd be a problem to mention 504?
Because it was for a behavior issue.
Okay, so he's going back to the same school he was at in kindergarten, right?
No, he's going to a private school, a new school.
Okay, so if you want to put him in without the 504 in place, without them knowing, and see what he can do. Is that what you're saying?
I'm trying to figure out if that's a wise choice. Is to not
It can be, because he's going into a different environment. We can see, and if he starts cutting up, then you can say he has a 504 and we need to implement it. Private schools must adhere to 504 because that's federal law.
Okay.
But again, you got to make sure you're working on his discipline at home. This whole ADHD crisis and this behavioral crisis, a lot of it is due to the fact we're not working with them little boys with their discipline. We're letting them do what they want. We're catering to them in the house. And these white folks are tearing them up when they get into these preschools and in regular schools. So you got to make sure you're getting on that.
Yeah, I am. That's something that
because what they're going to try to do next is they're going to try to pressure you to get him diagnosed with ADHD and put him on drugs, which you should not do under any circumstances. But that's what's going to come next.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I don't do that. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's pretty much all I wanted to know is what would be that. I don't even know if private school would be best, or I heard a sister on earlier, she was like her son is going to a magnet school. I don't know what, because he learns hands-on. He focuses and learns. He likes to build things. He likes to draw, so he's hands-on. So I don't know. I want the best. I want to place him in the right place, and I don't know. That's kind of where I'm stuck at right now.
I think in order for you to make a good decision, you got to put him back in school in January. See how he does the rest of the year, and then make your decision for next school year. But it's time for him to go back.
Yeah. Okay.
You do not get him evaluated for special ed or ADHD when you stick him back in there. He might have some delays because he's been home longer than the other kids. All the kids are going to have delays because COVID education sucked anyway. But he's been home a little longer than that. So if he has some delays, you just let him know that's because he was home. And I'm going to get him some tutoring after school, or you'll work with him yourself after school. But no special ed or none of that. Okay, you just get him through. If anything, put the 504 back in place. But don't do any special ed or any ADHD evals. You want to see how he does from January to June.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I do thank you so much for your time and for all that. Thank you.
No problem, Queen. Keep me posted.
Okay. All right, you too.
All right, love. Be blessed. Good evening, Alexandria. How are you, Queen?
Hello.
Alexandria, how are you, Queen?
I am well.
Can I ask you, what are you doing in Oshkosh, Wisconsin? Is that your hometown?
I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is not too far away.
Okay, how far is the drive from Milwaukee to Oshkosh, Wisconsin?
About an hour and a half.
How many black folks are out in Oshkosh, Wisconsin?
Oh, we have plenty.
It's a lot of black folks?
At first, when I moved here 3 years ago, you rarely saw them, but now you see a lot more coming from like Chicago, Minnesota, things like Milwaukee, things like that.
Are there hundreds of black people or thousands of black people in Oshkosh? Hundreds. Let me see something. Oshkosh, Wisconsin is a city in Winnebago County. Estimated population of 67,000. So of that 67,000, how many are black in Oshkosh?
I don't know.
5,000. What would you guesstimate? Out of 67,000, how many black?
Out of 67,000. About
10,000, 6,000?
No.
More or less?
Way less.
Okay, let me ask you this, and then we're going to get into your situation. Is it a place I need to visit and raise the consciousness of black parents?
Absolutely.
Can you find a place for me to come there and do a free lecture for the black parents?
I can see. I can do some research and see.
Yeah, see if there's a black church, maybe a black church, community center, whatever, wherever we do it, it need to be black owned.
Right.
Black restaurant, black bookstore, black cultural center. Find something black. and once you find it, you let me know. I was in Milwaukee on my birthday, August the 21st. We drove down from Kenosha. I attended the Jacob Blake 1 year rally of his shooting, and then we drove to Milwaukee. That was August the 21st. That was Milwaukee. Nice turnout. So I want to come to Oshkosh. So you find me a place, and once you find a place, you just text me, Dr. Umar, I got a place we can use. It probably only need to seat 100 people because it ain't that many blacks out there. So if you get something that's 100, even if you get something that could seat 75, you know, that'll be good because y'all don't have that many blacks. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so tell me what's going on with your child.
So my son he's 6 years old, and lately I have been getting him evaluated. Lately, because they keep sending him home. Every day I get a call like, you have to come get him. He'll be there.
So you got him evaluated because they keep sending him home.
No, I originally got him evaluated when he was 4. He got his initial eval when he was 4. You know, he can't sit still. He's all over the place.
Okay, he was evaluated at 4 when he was in preschool, right?
Yes.
And he got evaluated for what? What's the disability?
ADHD.
So at 4 years old, your son was diagnosed with ADHD.
That's correct.
Okay, when I come to Oshkosh, remind me to pull your fingernails out. Okay, so diagnosed with ADHD at 4. Now he's 5 in kindergarten, right?
No, he's 6 now. But when he was 5, he went through another evaluation.
Okay, the 5-year-old eval, he went. Why did he go through a 5-year-old eval, and what was that for?
Because for me too, and his behaviors were progressing. They weren't just he's not sitting down. He was getting more aggressive.
But if he was already diagnosed with ADHD, so-called ADHD, they already knew everything they needed to know to program for him. I don't really see the need for the 5-year-old eval, but what did they diagnose him with?
So the school ended up, I wanted them to evaluate him for his academics because he was delayed. He was delayed. We already knew that he was delayed, but I wanted to know
how do we know he was already delayed?
Because his speech was already, so when he was 1, he had burst to 3, which helps with speech and language.
Uh-huh.
So what happened was he kept having ear problems.
Okay.
And he had his adenoids and tonsils removed. And I'm thinking that's what caused his speech delay.
Okay.
And so he went through that program until he was 3, and he aged out. Then he went to the school district. And then he went to the school district before he can go into a regular school. And we moved, so then we moved here. And he went to the school here, and she was having problems with him disrobing, taking off his clothes, throwing things, not sitting down, and things of that nature. And I kept telling her a lot of it is because he doesn't know what you're saying. You know, he doesn't understand what you're saying. He can't follow the classroom. Y'all on one thing, and he doesn't comprehend what's going on with the curriculum. Okay,
so stay with me. ADHD at 4 in preschool.
Yes.
5 years old, he got another eval. What was the 5-year-old eval, he's still in preschool or this kindergarten at 5?
Well, at 5 years old, he's going to a regular elementary school, but it's still 5K.
I got you. But that second eval was in elementary school.
Right.
Okay. And you requested that one?
Yes.
Who requested the 4-year-old eval?
They initiated that one.
They initiated the 4-year-old eval for ADHD. You initiated the 5-year-old eval for learning problems.
That's correct.
Okay. And so when he was evaluated at 5 in kindergarten, what was the disability determination?
Severe learning disability.
Severe learning disability at 5.
Yes.
Severe learning. What skills did they say he had a learning disability in? You still there, Queen?
I'm here.
What skills did they say he had a learning disability in?
Well, they said that they went over a lot of stuff. They went over.
Okay, listen to me. I've been evaluating children as a school psychologist for about 25 years. 20 of those years certified, the others as a graduate student. There's no way under heaven I can classify a child with a severe learning disability at 5 years old. He just walked into kindergarten. How can he have a severe learning disability or any learning disability at 5 years old? That was ridiculous. The ADHD eval at 4 years old was also ridiculous. But I'm not blaming you because you didn't know any better. The system simply took advantage of you because you didn't know your rights or the law. So, 4-year-old ADHD, 5-year-old severe learning disability. He's now 6 he's still in the kindergarten, or he in the first now?
No, right now he's in first.
And what is your problem right now?
So right now I end up taking him to a neuropsychologist.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
My issue right now is that he's going to all these people, but nothing's changed. He has an IEP. They added that behavior on there, and they still call me to get him every day. Nothing is working.
They're still calling you to get him even with an IEP?
Even with an IEP, and they already
Okay,
added
I got another question for you. Is he in a full-time special ed class, or is he in a regular class getting pulled out?
He's in a regular class getting pulled out. They said that they have the resources to get him a one-on-one or to put him in any other class.
No. We're going to change all that. Tell me about this school. The student population is mostly what race, and the teacher population is mostly what race?
Caucasian.
So the children are mostly white, and the teachers are mostly white.
That's correct.
Okay. So then, what you need to do, first of all, I don't want you going to no meetings by yourself in Oshkosh. Do you have anybody who can go to these school meetings with you? Father, sister, girlfriend, neighbor. You can't go alone, sister. You can't.
Well, I have my sister.
Okay. Is your sister scared of white folks, or she got a little courage with her?
No, she's very fast. She really won't say.
Okay, she can go. Her job is to take the notes. Your sister's job is to write down anything they say at these meetings that sounds illegal or like it doesn't make sense. So your sister is the secretary. She writes the notes because she ain't got the courage. Now you need somebody with a little bit of backbone. Who can you get to go with you?
I don't have anyone.
Ain't no other black people you know in that town? You got to know somebody. You don't know no brothers out there? No elders?
No.
Okay. You're going to go with your sister for now. We got to get you somebody, though. We might got to get somebody from Milwaukee to go with you. But you need... Where's the father at? Can the father go? Where's he?
No, he's in a federal penitentiary.
Okay, understood. What about father's brothers, uncles, paternal uncles? What about your brothers? Where are they?
My brother is incarcerated.
Understood. Okay. No problem, sis. You need to write a letter to the principal requesting an IEP meeting. You're going to email the letter to me so I can go over it to make sure it makes sense before you send it in. Your letter is going to request an IEP meeting to discuss your son's need for a one-to-one aid. I also want you to try to write down every day that they asked you to pick him up. Wait, did they ask you to pick him up or they asked you to sit with him? Which one?
No, they asked me to come and get him. And they
okay, and when you come get him, Is this normally in the morning or after lunch?
It's both. It varies.
Okay. Listen to me.
Yes.
Every day that they ask you to pick your son up, first of all, do you know why they want you to pick him up? Legally, do you know why they ask you to pick him up? Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why they want you to pick your son up. The reason they call you to pick your son up is because your son has an IEP. So he has a behavioral protection that only allows him to be suspended from school 10 total days out the entire school year. 10 total. Not 10 per incident, not 10 per month, but from August to May or September to June, depending on how the school district goes, your son can only be suspended for 10 days. Are you following me?
Yes.
So the reason they want you to pick him up is you picking him up is an early dismissal. It's not a suspension. So it doesn't count against them. They're using you to basically suspend your child without putting it on record, because they know if they go past 10, they're going to get in trouble. So what you need to do, stop picking him up. And you tell them, well, you're going to write this letter, request the IEP meeting. And one of the things you're going to put in that letter is my son needs the 1-to-1 aid. And the reason he needs the 1-to-1 aid is because y'all have made it clear he needs one, because y'all have asked me to pick him up on how many occasions would you say approximately?
Since school started in September, he's only been in school for 3 weeks. All the other days, they literally have me come get him. Or they
Wait, time out. School started when?
September.
What date? Early September, middle September, you remember the date?
Like September 1st, I think it was this year. September.
You're telling me that from September, hold on, let me go to my calendar. You might got to go to due process, my queen, and I'm going to help you. School started September the 1st. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Tomorrow will be 12 weeks of school since September 1st. Tomorrow will be 12 weeks of school since September 1st. You're telling me that out of 12 weeks of school, your son been in the class 3 weeks.
That's correct.
I think you go to due process. I don't even think you call an IEP meeting, my sister. You're telling me that they basically suspended your child for 9 weeks. That's basically what you're telling me. And he can only be suspended for 10 total days, and they did 9 weeks. They are breaking the law and violating you and your son's rights all day, every day. Now, I'm going to still leave it up to you. I want you to think on this. Do you want to give them a chance to fix it? And write a letter to the principal calling an IEP meeting, and we're going to demand that the special ed director be present. That's the one way we can go. Or the other way we can go is we go straight to the State Department of Education, Wisconsin, and file a due process complaint. Your child's free, inappropriate public education is being violated. He's been suspended 9 weeks. Without due process. He doesn't have a behavior plan. He doesn't have a 1-to-1 aid. He probably was misdiagnosed. He probably needs an independent educational evaluation. Which way you want to go? You want to go to the state, or you want to go back to the school and give him a chance?
No, I'm done. I already talked to the principal. Was that Wednesday? He suspended him Thursday and Friday. So
now, we're going to the state. We're going to the state. This is what you're going to do. You're going to go on the State Department of Education website. What's the state capital of Wisconsin? What's the state capital of Wisconsin, babe? Madison was okay. You're going to go to Wisconsin. It's probably wisconsin.edu. That's probably what it is. Wisconsin.edu, Wisconsin schools. Go to the State Department of Education website and look for due process complaint link. It might be under Bureau of Special Ed. Most state department websites, you can search on the website. Search due process complaint or special ed complaints. Find out what the process is. Start formulating your letter of complaint. In fact, you can formulate your letter of complaint first if you want. Either way, find out where the link is on the site and then do your letter, or do your letter. Either way, I need to see your letter before you send it in. We're going straight to due process. They're going to owe you Com-Ed. He needs to get a private school. We might even need to send a letter to the U.S. Department of Education Office of Civil Rights. Have them investigate this too.
And you know what they told me? They told me, because I told them, look, I have to go to work. Y'all call me every day. There's nothing that you guys can do but call me every day. They added a behavior plan to his plan, but if he doesn't relax or calm down within 15 minutes, they have to call him.
Nah, that's bull crap. Your son is special ed. You being called to the school should have no role in his behavior plan. You hear what I'm saying?
The school told me to get on SSI so that I can stay home with my kid, or if they call
Time out. You ain't just say that. I know you ain't just say that. I know you didn't just tell me, black woman, that the school told you to get a SSI check so you can stay home with your child. I know you ain't just say that.
I'm not fibbing you.
I need to interview you for the shockumentary, sister. I'm gonna have to fly to that is the first of all the ghetto cases I have had. You're the first parent in 25 years to tell me that the school told you to get a SSI check so you can stay home with your child. It was racist, it was disrespectful, and it was illegal. We are going to due process. We are going to due process. So you have my number. I want you to start working on your letter. I want you to have your letter done before the end of this month.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go over it, and then you're going to go ahead and find out how to submit it, probably right on the website. Every state is different. Most states, you submit right on the website. You just copy and paste your whole letter in there or upload it. Other states are antiquated. You got to mail it in. Either way, you're going to find out what you got to do. Start working on the letter. Put everything in it. I'll help you clean it up, and we're going to go to war.
Thank you.
Okay, Oshkosh. And find me a place to come speak in Oshkosh.
Oh, definitely. I will be on that too. In my line of work, I have a lot of time.
Okay.
A lot of free time. So
okay.
I'll definitely be researching and pulling some stuff together and seeing what we have here to offer.
Okay.
I've never been to church up here, so I don't know of any. I go to Milwaukee for my church that I grew up in, but I don't know.
But y'all do have some black churches in Oshkosh, right?
Yes.
So what you might have to do, just call them up and say, listen, I'm a concerned parent. I'm going through something with my child. I know there's other parents up here who are going through some things. We need school psychologist, Dr.UmarJohnson, to come up here to speak to us. He is not going to discuss any issues related to the LGBTQI plus community. He is coming to talk about the Oshkosh school to prison pipeline, the Oshkosh special education crisis, and the Oshkosh ADHD crisis, and the Oshkosh black parent crisis. I'm coming to deal with education and mental health. I will not be talking about white Jesus or LGBTQ. This is strictly about parents learning how to protect their children.
Can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
So what do you feel about diagnoses?
What I feel about diagnoses, first of all, in your son's age, too young and too premature. Period. You're not proving no learning disability in a 5-year-old. You're not proving ADHD in a 4-year-old. Premature, misdiagnosis, totally unnecessary. Now, second point, even if your son was in the 4th or 5th grade, you can't prove ADHD or learning disability. Basically, your son is being lynched, academically lynched, because he's black in a predominantly white school. Most of the students are white, correct?
Yes.
And most of the teachers are white, correct?
That's right.
That's why he got them labels. He's black. And what do they do to black males? Young or old, big or small? They criminalize them. And your son at 5 was already diagnosed with both ADHD and a learning disability. 2 evaluations at 5 when he should not have had either one.
But he's also been diagnosed with ODD.
He was diagnosed with ODD at the same time as ADHD, or is this a third eval by his 5 years old?
So this will be when he went to his neuropsychologist. So I think he was 5.
That's the third eval.
Yes.
So you're telling me that your son has received 3 evaluations and 3 diagnoses before his 6th birthday.
And actually, we waiting on another evaluation.
And you're waiting on a 4th eval. Can you tell me what the 4th eval is for?
Because his psychiatrist thought that he was exhibiting signs of autism.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Okay. Did you mean to say psychologist thinks he's exhibiting signs of autism, or is your son seeing a psychiatrist or psychologist? Which one?
I will have to look up the...
Okay, because we don't want him seeing no psychiatrist, because they are medical doctors who prescribe medicine.
She prescribes medication.
Okay, who sent him to a psychiatrist at 6?
His therapist.
His therapist told you to take your 6-year-old son to a psychiatrist for what? So the therapist told you to take your 6-year-old child to the psychiatrist for drugs.
Yes.
And what was her reasoning? Drugs for what? The ADHD?
For to talk about all the things that he was exhibiting and things, all of his characteristics and things that were going on.
Okay. You need to fire the therapist. That was
done. He got a new therapist.
He got a new therapist. Are these people black or these white?
No, these people are white.
A white therapist, that's a waste of time, but it's probably no black ones.
We don't have black therapists here.
This is insane. This case right here is one of the worst I've had in 25 years. This is insane.
I don't want it to be the worst.
No, it ain't your fault. It's worse because of the racism. I'm not blaming you, my beautiful African queen. It's the racism. This is insane. 4 evaluations and 4 diagnoses at the age of 6. We're going to due process. You can't even go back to the district. They done screwed up so bad. This is why I don't like black boys in white schools. It's not your fault. It has nothing to do with you, but this is why I don't like black boys in white schools. But anyway, you have your homework. Start working on that letter. You have my cell number, right? Because you text me. So keep me posted and let me know when you find a place. Because both of those things are important. Because I believe it's a lot of black boys going through the same thing in Oshkosh. So, find me a location to come talk. It'll be free. Hopefully we can get the space for free. And if we can't, so be it, if we got to pay a little something. But you start working on your letter. I need you to finish it before the end of the month. You have about 10 days.
Got it.
Keep me posted, love.
Thank you so much.
All right, no problem. Enjoy your evening.
You too.
And then y'all get mad at me. Y'all get mad at me. Y'all get mad at me when I say y'all need to pay for me to go to law school. And then y'all get mad at me when I say y'all need to pay for me to go to law school. You see exactly why y'all need to pay for me to go to law school. Because if I was her educational attorney, if I was her son's mental health attorney, if I was her educational attorney and her mental health attorney, I'll be on my way to Oshkosh tomorrow. I would be on my way to Oshkosh tomorrow. This is why I'm going to law school. This right here. And you're going to pay for me to go to law school. You're going to pay. You're going to pay. Because our parents need me to fight for them in the courtroom. She's in the state that acquitted Kyle Rittenhouse of a double murder. She's in the state that acquitted Kyle Rittenhouse of a double murder. She's in the state that basically said it was perfectly fine for a 17-year-old white boy to come into the city looking for trouble at the protests, to shoot and kill 2 people who never touched him, never touched his weapon, because he felt threatened. And then they said it was perfectly okay for him to have an AR-15 even though he was underage. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Nobody's paying your tuition, but you're not me. You're not me. You don't do what I do. You haven't dedicated your life to the liberation of black people. So me and you cannot be compared. I'm in a class by myself. I keep telling you Negroes that. I keep telling the conscious Negroes that. You can't compare yourself to me. I'm in a class all by myself. Peace and black power, Brother Anthony. How's it going? All right. Reedville, North Carolina. You're near what closest major city?
Like
Greensboro, North Carolina. What's going on with your child?
Yeah, man, my son, he was diagnosed with autism since about the age of 3.
Your son was diagnosed with autism at 3.
Yes.
There's no way in hell any psychologist on the planet Earth can make a definitive diagnosis of autism at 3. Please continue.
Yeah, but then we got him in school. He was doing school. Preschool went pretty good. Then kindergarten this past year. Well, after the pandemic, I guess, and then he went back to school. You know, we pretty much picking him up from school every single day.
So you heard the previous situation, right?
Yes.
How many days this school year have y'all picked him up, roughly?
Well, we started with school, probably about 2 months of school. I had to pick him up pretty much every day that he went to the school.
Okay, so you said this school year. Give me that again. This school year, you picked him up. It's been 12 weeks in the school year if you started in September, roughly. Of the 12 weeks, how many weeks have you not had to pick him up?
I had to pick him up all 12 weeks.
Are you saying you pick your son up from school early every single day?
Every day. Like, they say he's too much to handle pretty much.
And he got an IEP?
Yes.
So that means there's no behavior plan.
But he also has a behavior plan.
If he has a behavior plan, why they calling you to pick him up then?
I mean, I wish I could tell you. I don't want him to. I actually, But
bro,
unfortunately, it's not.
Listen, he ain't got no behavior plan. And what I mean by that, they might got something in his file they calling a behavior plan, but there's no way you picking him up every day and he got a behavior plan if you follow what I'm saying. So there's no functional behavior assessment, no behavior plan, no one-to-one aid, and he's been suspended more than 10 days because if you picking him up every day, he basically been expelled without an expulsion hearing. This is damn near an expulsion because he ain't been in school a full day all year is what it sounds like you telling me.
Right, because the very first day, he did go to school the whole day. But after that, it was, all right, well, I think we need to try to put him in, and then after lunch, you could let him come and pick him up. And that was every day since then. But then, about 2 weeks ago, I just went ahead and decided to do homeschool. I started homeschool.
Nah. Don't let them off. Nah. Don't let them off the hook. See, when you have a child with an IEP, they have rights that the regular kids don't have, and they also get extra money that the regular kids don't get. You pulling him out the homeschool, you just took the responsibility off of them. We don't want to do that. No, sir. You got too much that you can use to aid you in fighting for your son's right to get his education. So what you need to do is, like I told the other parent, you could go straight to due process, or you could write a letter to the principal requesting an IEP meeting to talk about the fact that your son has been denied education all this time, that they owe you comp ed, they owe you for all the days he should have been in school and wasn't. They owe you a one-to-one aid. So what you have to decide with the mother of your son is, do y'all want to give the school another chance to get this right by calling an IEP meeting and making them aware of that you know your rights? Or do y'all want to go straight to due process? Y'all need to decide that. Either way, y'all need to work on that letter. Y'all need to work on that letter that I need to review before y'all send it in.
I can definitely do that.
Wow, this is crazy. It's actually getting worse. It was getting better for a while nationally, I thought. It's getting worse. They're back to the same old tricks.
Oh, yeah.
So I need you to work on that letter, my brother. You have my number. Talk to the wifey and decide. Hit me up. Say, shoot me a text tomorrow sometime. Say, Doc, we're going to go ahead and go to the meeting with the school and give them a chance to fix this. So we decided to go straight to Madison, Wisconsin, State Department of Education due process complaint, which means they will assign a hearing officer who will come out and investigate the case and make a decision like a judge.
Okay.
All right, so keep me posted, my brother. You got my number.
Thank you, brother.
All right, now, be safe. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. And we still don't have enough money to renovate the entire FDMG campus. Black boys are catching hell, and we still don't have a renovated Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. The elementary school is close, the gym is close, but we haven't even started on the Frederick Douglass High School. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Dick on my FDMG Festival co-wifey, Sister Jamie. I see you there, Sister Jamie. That's the FDMG Festival co-wifey, y'all. Say hi to my FDMG Festival co-wifey, Sister Jamie. She looked beautiful in her wedding gown, didn't she, y'all? Hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. I see Octavia, my Facebook wifey. So I got my festival wifey and my Facebook wifey. Hit the PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Sister Shauna Montana, you're beautiful, baby, but you ain't got no clothes on. You got to put some clothes on, my beautiful African queen. Let's go back to the phone. You want to make a personal donation to Dr. Umar? You can use my phone number for Zelle, 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. Personal donations by way of Zelle, 215-989-9858. Personal donations by way of Cash App, $Dr. Umar Johnson, DrUmarJohnson, no period after the doctor. Do not use $Dr. Umar. You must add Johnson. You must add Johnson. $ Dr. Umar is a fake account. Do not use $ Dr. Umar. You must add Johnson. $ Dr. Umar Johnson. If you want to cash at me, but cash app FDMG first, $ FDMG school. If you want to Zelle me, FDMG doesn't have Zelle. Personal donations through Zelle, you use my cell number, 215-989-9858. Same number you used to text me for tonight's call. Margate, South Florida, I will see you December the 4th for the celebration of Black masculinity. Margate, South Florida, I will see you December the 4th, celebration of Black masculinity. Margate, South Florida, I will see you December the 4th, celebration of Black masculinity. Jackson, Mississippi, I think I'm going to hit you up New Year's Day. Jackson, Mississippi, I think I'm going to hit you up New Year's Day. Minneapolis, Minnesota, Dr. King Conference, January 15th. Minneapolis, Minnesota, Dr. King Conference, January 15th. Scottsdale, Arizona, January 17th. Scottsdale, Arizona. Let's see what we got.
Please leave your message for 202271. Please leave your message for
This might be the last call. If you need a private consult, you can text me. There's $75. Have your paperwork ready. Email it to DrUmarJohnson@yahoo.com. No period after doctor. We're going to do one more call.
You've reached the voicemail of...
Yeah, I guess people falling asleep right now. One more call for the night, family.
Please leave your message for 211.
Hello, hey Doc.
Brother Kendall, what's good, brother? You in Baltimore?
Yeah, I actually came to see you a couple weeks ago.
Okay, appreciate the support. What's going on with your child?
And I actually said this, I think I answered the question. My son was dead, actually. But, so his mom, and I don't know if this detail I remember, but pretty much his mom, it's deep, it's a lot, but I'll just say, like, she initiated an IEP for my son who's in school now. Mind you, my son, you know, for last year, you know, we had COVID, so the first year was his first year virtual. But the year before that, that was supposed to be his actual first year of school, right? So myself, I was a student athlete. Like, I was going to school playing ball, like probably about an hour away. So I can honestly say for the first off and on few years of my son's life, he probably really honestly suffering from ain't no daddy at home descent, you know.
Yes, sir.
But a lot of that is because pretty much once I decided to not go away with things and go about my life away from how the mom wanted, you know, it's, you know, taking the child away or trying to do certain things.
I be coming back and forth. And, 2 to 3 days a week, it's not as consistent. He's with her the other 4 to 5. So, and I say that to say, she not like cracked open even like an ABC 1, 2, 3 book for my son, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, 2. Now, and all of this initially, we always, me being away there, I'm only an hour away. I'm in Bowie, I'm from Baltimore. Not even an hour really. But, so we were still co-parenting and everything like that consistently. She was taking him to one child, one daycare center to another for years and years. I think he might have been all the way up to probably about 8 different centers almost. And a lot of it would be because she may not just find a reason for no. The best center I had was a grandma inside of the house, old school, black, keeping it straight real, teaching them, feeding them, potty training them that too. She takes them out of there because the black, mama calls her out on, not supporting her son when he's not there. So through a lot of that, my son doesn't really no confidence. He doesn't really have a lot of stuff that he's lacking, and because of that, once that trickled down in the school,
right?
And he doesn't have that amount of discipline, understanding what it takes now. And the thing is, he has this thing. Kids are smart. He'll come over to my house. Some behaviors will change. He'll feed in line. He understands the 7:30 because that's what daddy do. When he's with mom, that's not the case. And it's to the point he's always been alone. So he does a lot of stuff like that. He'll learn that he's been alone as pretty much. He'll be sad. So sweet, some of his skills and stuff like that. And I say that to say, so now she understands and is going through all this stuff and is getting you because she didn't want to do, but she pretty much trying to put it on the school. And he's in a white county. She doesn't like the fact that she's black. She has a white for another child that she's with and all of that stuff. She has a white baby, live in a white neighborhood, trying to raise my son white pretty much. So because of a lot of that stuff now as well, he has an IEP and trying to focus on behavior, social skills, and math and English.
Mm-hmm.
This pretty much. Instead of doing anything as far as initially out the gate on, they said when they was testing before they crossed all their T's and dotted their I's, the way as though, I didn't necessarily feel any initial racism and nothing like that. But they got to do what they have to do. It's someone that's technically supposed to be on my son's side as mom that's being against him.
Right.
She filed 2 months into virtual school from last year, but they couldn't do anything for another year because we were doing COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't even get a chance. So pretty much now, a lot of this has trickled down to it's a full custody case. So it's multiple things moving in between the custody, the IEPs, a lot of this stuff. And pretty much my whole thing behind it is the neglect and everything behind, from that led to this point and why he's suffering and everything like that in school. And according to his T-school results, they're actually, when he was in a school setting, because they did it when he was at home, and they did the testing when he was in a school setting, and they all improved. Now, some are on average, we still, quote unquote, as they say, deficient and stuff like that. But I honestly see the social skills and that type of stuff because he just used to being alone. So he'll just find little stuff that's just not average fun to the average person, not even the average kid to him because that's been his life. So pretty much what I'm trying to do is how to combat that. Even if with the custody case, if, me winning, he's now, under my care 110%, because I'm going to transfer him out of that school regardless, and I was put him into a magnet school I'm in Baltimore County, that's still black, so it's honestly, I like to say, it's black people with sense, with things that worth losing, which I feel is kind of key to communities and stuff like that, especially nowadays. So I'm pretty much trying to figure out how to combat that in the right way because I'm using a lot of the IP information and stuff like that and stuff that she pretty much didn't give him a chance to succeed in the case, but also, and I know it'll travel and everything, but I transferred him from school to school, to one school district in Howard County, which is pretty much white, to Baltimore County, which is still black.
how would I go about facilitating that IEP and that information to that new school system once I do that, as opposed to speak, if you understand what I'm saying?
Well, with the IEP, you would call an IEP meeting for any changes that you want to make. Now, just to recap, your son is in what grade again?
He's in first grade right now.
Okay, he's in the first grade. And the main issue you're having with his education is what right now? I know you gave me that, but if you had to summarize it, what would...
Education, right? Because now he has a aid where he's out of the classroom for about an hour or two. Pretty much, I think about 2 hours. 1 hour focused on math, and other focused on like social and behavior skills and stuff like that.
Right, but tell me what your issue is, though.
So my issue is, how can I work this? How can I pretty much make sure that the school is crossing T's and dotting their I's in the social and development? But how can I cross my T's and dot my I's as far as holding accountable to school and his mom filling the IEP, as like his academics and etc. Because a lot of his IEP and everything was set up that I wasn't even aware of. You get what I'm saying?
Right,
so,
but do you disagree with anything on it? In other words, you got to be clear on...
I disagree, and pretty much they're just doing their job, but they don't have all of the pretty much background that I feel influence of why he's going through some of the stuff that he's going through, because he just hasn't really had a strong enough support system in general.
And his IEP is for what again? What's his disability?
Yeah, and social and behavior disability and management English, yes. So it's like...
And you said he's kindergarten, right?
First grade.
First grade, okay. Okay, that's not a disability. It could be emotional disturbance. Is that what he got?
Okay.
I need you to double check on his disability category. It's probably emotional disturbance, and he's way too young to have that disability category.
Right, okay. So, yeah, it's definitely, as I pull it up right here, yeah, when they say, because they tested him for social participation, body awareness, even balance, emotion, and said he had problems and stuff like that. But I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense to me. So this is literally what I'm reading from the front. The T score from home had him, group social participation, touch, body awareness, balance, emotion, planning ideas. It pretty much went from that. Like from home, which was his highest score, was pretty much 7, was evaluated like in the 70s, 50s. But he came to school, and you got A's and other stuff. I'm like, he's only even been in school for a couple months. Mm-hmm. So my thing is it really an IEP thing as opposed to more so maybe 5 or 4? And also, I think as opposed to when the case and a lot of this stuff probably happens, because it's kind of like they play into each other, that the support pretty much changes and is more consistent over here with me. So now that's become more full-time because of the case, and these things continue to progress. How can I switch from out of this IEP, the exit plan pretty much?
Let me ask you this. Is he in a full-time special ed class, or he just gets pulled out?
No, he gets pulled out. And I mean,
okay. And do you think your son really has a problem learning, or do you think this whole special ed thing was a behavior trap?
I think it was more of a behavior track, because once he got into that setting and it's a bunch of students, because he doesn't understand the full meaning and understand what it takes to be disciplined. He gets it inconsistent, only gets it with me. So certain things, like as you said, and you mentioned something earlier, because I've been watching the live, you said it's not to be a blanket thing, but I think you said mothers who spoil their children or spoil the sons, and now because you don't necessarily know how to do anything, he's sadly on a dangerous path for that, and I'm just trying to combat that with everything, because pretty much he's just always at home. He doesn't really have any friends like the other guy, because I still play out.
Right, because you said, wait a second, you said y'all got to pick him up all the time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so yes. You need an IEP meeting, my brother, to address the concerns that you had about the social emotional learning. You might also want to question the diagnosis. But if nothing else, my brother, you got to talk about the one-to-one aid. They owe your son a one-to-one aid because it ain't your job to be picking him up. They owe him a one-to-one aid, a behavior plan, and they also owe him compensatory education. If you bring that up, you're going to blow their minds. I want you to put that in your letter too. Compensatory education. That means they owe you for all the days that your son was not in school. They have to pay you for the service that was missed, because you know the school gets extra money from the state for special ed kids. Your son was not at school to receive the service for which the school was being paid. So they now have to pay you that. And it goes into an account that you can use to bill for services for your son. Tutoring, counseling, after school programs, summer camps, you know, and the like. So, but you need to, now do you have primary legal custody or shared? What's the custody situation? He lives with you?
So and that's the I guess the great thing about it. So we don't have any established custody in court. So this custody case that's been now, that's pretty much going to stage 2, is like the Super Bowl, because I'm pretty much going for it all.
Okay, because you're going to need that, because you know schools are slick. Schools will side with the parent that agrees with them, and so you need to get shared legal on paper from the judge.
Right, and she's one of those parents, like I said, you know, she doesn't, it's a long story, but she thinks that, or she wants to not change her behavior, but allow the school to do the work for her. And I'm more of a old school, I'm from home on end, and not saying it like that, but she wasn't raised how I was raised. I still came from a 2-parent home half the time, very academically educated, got degrees. She doesn't, not saying it like that, but it's the opposite. So she don't really value that type of stuff or understand. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much like the gist of pretty much all of that. In the custody case, that's why you said I know it's gonna tie down into all of that stuff, because I work in special ed in DCPS and a whole nother school system. And his IEP is coming out for these every other week for about nothing. Honestly, a lot of it, discipline stuff like that.
And his diagnosis again was what, ADHD?
They're trying to.
Well, the emotional disturbance.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you this, my brother. You might want to take them straight to due process, and I'm only saying that because of the amount of days your son missed from school. That was totally wrong, and they know that. So you might want to go straight to State Department of Education for Annapolis and file due process, because he's missed so much of school. That was very bad for them to do that. So just like I said with the other parent, you can decide if you just want to go to the IEP team and give them a chance to fix it, or if you want to go straight to due process.
Okay, yeah, because thank you. Yeah, I definitely had to do that, because he was even missing school days because his mom just was inconvenient. I'm like, no, he can't. Definitely is what I'm trying to pretty much set up. So I appreciate it.
No problem, my brother. Well, check. You have my number, so once you decide which way you want to go, let me know, and then we can rock from there.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I'm gonna be setting some consultations up for you too, especially as this really getting full gear, just to, because I don't even think I'm gonna be with one representation, not just me personally, unless I find a good lawyer. But honestly, I'm the type, I'd rather have the information and go and speak for myself. So
got you.
That's pretty.
Keep me posted on that. We can do it.
Got you. Thank you. Appreciate you, Doug.
Okay, bro. Be safe. All right. Brothers and sisters, that has been 3 hours minus 7 minutes. And I need to take it down. I hope you all saw how important having this book is. Every issue we covered today is covered in these 450 plus pages. If you're raising black children and you don't have this book, which can only be purchased at DrUmarJohnson.com, you're not ready. You also see why I need to go to law school and travel and help these parents protect their children, please donate to the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. $FDMG School, $FDMG School. Please make your donation. Parents who I help tonight, please make your donation. $FDMG School. If you want to offer a personal donation, you can hit the Cash App for $Dr.Umar Johnson. You must have Johnson. $Dr.Umar Johnson. $Dr. Umar is fake. Or the Zelle. You can Zelle me using my cell number 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. Some very, very, very critical cases tonight. Black parents are being taken advantage of. 4 diagnoses in 4 years. Another parent had to pick their child up every day of the school year, and they have an IEP. Another parent said the child only been to school 3 weeks out of 12. And y'all wonder why we need FDMG? Y'all wonder why we need this book? Y'all wonder why I need to go to law school? Y'all wonder why I travel the country educating black parents? You got your answer tonight, brothers and sisters. You got your answer tonight, brothers and sisters. Margate, South Florida, you are up next. Saturday after next. Margate, South Florida, Black Masculinity Celebration. You are up next, December the 4th. Rest in peace to Malikah Shabazz. Condolences, heartfelt support, compassion, and empathy for the Shabazz family who have already lost so many. Anything I can do for the Shabazz family, please do let me know. This is the Prince of Pan-Africanism signing out. Y'all know how to reach me. 215-989-9858. Peace and Black Power.